Amazing. You know, I think we've had about 4 references about Nelson Mandela today, which I think is very fitting and appropriate. I think I never met him, but I think he would like to be mentioned in a violence prevention event, free, open to the public, in maybe one of the underserved parts of the city. I think possibly he might have liked that. Anyway, you know, just seeing Dr. Banerjee here, it just reminds me of the one thing when we do our program, what I don't like to hear from youth. I say you could say anything, but just don't say one thing. Don't say nobody cares. Because here's a gentleman doing all this for free. Here, all you people here doing it for free. I say youth, you could say whatever you want, just don't say anybody cares. Because not only is it not true, it hurts. Now, our next person, someone I just got to know. He did a TV spot with me, and he outshined me. I appreciate that very much, MeShorn. It's Man Up and MeShorn Daniels. I got that right?
Won't you be my neighbor? Mr. Fred Rogers, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. That was in the 20th century, during different times, during times where a lot of diversity wasn't the same type of diversity that we have today. Some of the same issues wasn't the same issues that we have today. We have a tremendous amount of social conditions today, but Mr. Rogers, the way that he made it seem, the way that he made it approach, the way he put it out there, I remember Mr. Rogers. I grew up. How many of you grew up with Mr. Rogers? I remember Mr. Rogers, okay? I remember that presentation. I remember him coming in and doing what he was doing and everything. And I was like, wow, look at that. And now, that was then. This is now. We have a tremendous amount of things that's going on today that we need some more. Mr. Rogers, Mr. Gardners, Mr. Jones, where are they? Where are they? I want us to take a moment and think about, you know, I'm with Man Up. This is about men. Mr. Rogers, he was a man. He just decided to do something and make a difference. We just lost a I'm glad to have lived during his time to see this man in action. See, all the other men prior to me, I remember hearing stories and everything, but I never, hear the story about Martin Luther King. I'm born in 1961. I didn't know Martin Luther King. Gandhi. Read about it. But this man, I actually got to live during his times. And, a man who made the choice to be silent and to go to jail. He made the choice to be silent to go to jail. His stand was a fight for others' rights against oppression and hatred. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. The world the world remembers him today and forever. A moment of silence again for Nelson Mandela, please. And let's give him a hand. All right. That was then, and this is now. This is now. The general American public. America, the 21st century. Everything we've been hearing today is about, and I'm glad that I'm coming up now speaking, because all I'm doing is just backing up all the other speakers and everything that you all already said. You're going to learn a little bit about my organization, the organization I put together, but it all is because of what each and every one of you have already said. It talks about the adult men and women. We are the workers in the morning, in the evening, the job creators and the taxpayers, the American general public. I'm here to talk about the idea that our country needs some men to stand up, and I'm trying to stand and fill a gap as Mr. MeShorn to try to make a difference in our community, to start teaching and communicating in our community about us as adults, what we need to do to stand up and do the things that we need to do. Do you realize is that the American general public is many of you right here today? How many of you work? Put your hands down. How many of you have an education right now? Put your hands down. How many of you own a home? Put your hands down. How many of you pay taxes? Put your hand down. Do you know how many of you own businesses? Put your hands down. Yeah, that's what does. Do you know that makes up the American general public? Give yourself a hand. The reason why I'm bringing that to the understanding is because the fact is, if we make up the American general public, then the crime and violence that's going on in our community, then we have a say-so about it. Would you agree? Yeah. No, maybe y'all didn't hear me. Do we not have a say-so about it? Yes. So the American general public, that's many of us that wakes up in the morning. Tired as it may be that we just got up, but we still got to wake up in the morning and go get a job. It's us that realize at the end of the year that we pay our taxes. We are the American general public. That means red states, blue states, black, white, big, fat, poor, rich. Every single one of you that you just raised your hand, we all in this together. We are already unified, people. Many of us don't even realize that we're unified by our consensus and our understanding of what it takes to go to work, what it takes to make a difference in our community. The reason why I bring that to your attention, violence and crime and bullying in our community is something that we, the American general public, can stop. We can stop that. I am a representative of SPAVA. Dr. Banerjee just got off his talking about. Dr. Banerjee, a man, set me down early in the morning, had breakfast with me. I was way too busy to be there early in the morning talking to Dr. Banerjee. But he had convinced me to have breakfast with me, and he made it seem like it was just going to be a quick breakfast, and we're just going to be in and out of there. Well, as you can tell, Dr. Banerjee is pretty convincing. He told me about this SPAVA program, and I got involved with it because he said something that I just could not walk away from. He said our children need help, and we need to be teaching them about their alternatives against violence in their community. But it didn't stop right there. The very first time that I got out there and got involved with it, I started realizing that these children had something to give to me. And I started realizing that I had something to give to them. But you know when I really understood it, and Dr. Banerjee, I told him this before, when I really understood that I had something to offer to them? is when they said to me, Mr. MeShorn, and I'm going to try to hold it together here. It said, Mr. MeShorn, I love what you're teaching us about SPAVA, stop, think, act, review, an alternative to bullying. You don't have to allow yourself to be inspired by somebody else's action. You can stop, you can think, you can act, and you can review the situation. We would teach that in SPAVA. But they said, Mr. MeShorn, I really like that you're teaching this to us, but the kids that look like me came over to me, and you would appreciate this. They wrote me a little note, and they said, Mr. MeShorn, I can't practice STAR in my community because my environment doesn't allow me to practice STAR. They said, I can practice it here in school. I can practice it here with my friends, but it's hard for me to practice it when I leave here, Mr. MeShorn. It's hard for me to teach this STAR program and this conflict resolution that you're talking to me, Mr. MeShorn, with my parents, on my corner, in my street. That hurt me, man, because you understand what they were saying? All the good that we were sitting up there and I'm trying to tell them in the school, they were telling me that it was a waste of their time because real world situation out there was preventing them to do the things that we were sitting there talking about. I was hurt by that. And I remember going to Mr. Tamir Banerjee, and I said, we got to take this SPAVA program in the community. Remember that? We got to take this in the community. Because, sir, what good is it to be talking to our children about trying to stop, think, act, review? Somebody call you out of your name, say something, pick on you about whatever, and they can stand up in the classroom, but they can't stand in their home. They can't stand in the community. Their parents don't relate to what they're talking about. What good is it that we prepare our children to do all that, and they don't have the opportunity to practice it everywhere they go? Does that make sense? And whose responsibility is it to protect our children? Whose responsibility is it to protect our children? It's our responsibility as adult men and women. It is our responsibility as adult men and women. And that's when I started and I formed Man Up. Man Up. Because I realized that if I can get a few men to man up, it could change some things in our community. Because in the school, I came to realize that many of the children that was there before me, I asked the rate, how many of you have fathers in your home? More than half of them did not have a father in their home. They didn't have no positive man figure in their home. That's part of the problem. I mean, I'm not trying to bash single households. No, that's cool. I'm speaking of the men. Where are they? Where are the fathers? Because many of the young people that I was talking to, they were absence of fathers or someone to care for them. Do you understand when you have a man or a father to show that they love you and care for you, whether you are a young lady or a young boy, that goes a long way. It goes a long way. So, general American public of men, every single man, as you already raised your hand, if you get up in the morning, if you're paying your taxes, you got an education, you have something to offer. You can provide leadership. Many of these young people out here today are not used to seeing men who is willing to sacrifice, work, do the things that they need to do. That's why it's so important that we need to man up. Let me give you the 5 man-up steps that we talk about in Man Up. It's very simple. We say, man up as an individual. Do you understand that when you man up as an individual first, meaning your personal responsibility to yourself, that's the beginning. So man up as an individual. 2, Man up as a provider. What kind of provider? Well, provide for yourself first. How can you take on providing for anybody else if you can't even provide for yourself? So that means you got to become educated. You got to get some skills. So you got to learn how to be a provider. Then the second, man up as a husband. Hey, check this out. If you got the first two out the way, you can come and be a provider as a husband. Does that make sense? If you can provide for yourself as an individual, you can provide for a wife in your family. Hey, providing as a father becomes very easy to do. Now, check it out. I'm a military person. I believe in structure. Why am I saying that? Because the structure in the military, if you got the first four out the way, then that means in community leadership, we should not have no problem in our community with men standing up doing the things that they need to do. Because if you're manning up as an individual, if you're manning up as a provider, if you're manning up as a husband, if you're manning up as a father, then where are the men in our community manning up to make a difference and stop the crime and violence and the bullying in our community? Do that not make sense? Do that not make sense? Do that not make sense? Oh, y'all not here. Do that not make sense? Yes. It's just really that simple. We're calling on all men and women to work. I'm an acronym man. I love acronyms. Work. Go to work. Go to work. Why work? W. When you go to work, you get a job, get an education, guess what? What comes from W? You get wisdom. So when someone telling you, I can't find a job, you need to look at them and say, you may not have no wisdom. Okay? You're not seeking wisdom. Go to work. You need to tell them. I'm hoping some of you will remember this and write this down. This is now I'm in my mode, Mr. MeShorn, okay? I'm in my mode, okay? Oh, go to work. When you hear people talking to you, they can't find a job and, oh, don't go to work. Guess what? You're lacking opportunities. You're not going to get no opportunities if you don't go to work, okay? Maybe the reason why you're in the trouble of doing the things you're doing is because you lack wisdom and you're lacking opportunities. Hello? R, go to work. I can't find a job. Nobody likes me. Respect. You got no job. Maybe nobody's going to respect you. Okay? And you're not going to respect yourself if you don't have some employment, something that's keeping you busy, keeps you out of trouble. Crime, violence, idle minds. You to follow me? Work, go to work. And as you can tell, K is knowledge. See, if you go to work, get educated, get some type of employment that's keeping you busy, you will gain the knowledge of that, and then you can also pass that on to your children, to your family, and then to your community. See, I'm a simple kind of guy. I don't like complicated things. Everybody, it's just that simple. Go to work. Go to work. So, it's my neighborhood in 2014, people. It's my neighborhood in 2014. Now, I want y'all to understand something. You all going to interact with me, all right? We stand up against crime because, oh, y'all not with me. Y'all slow. What's up with y'all now? Oh, I said it's my neighborhood in 2014. And I said we stand up against the crime because what? Oh, yeah, all right. We stand up against violence because what? We stand up against all types of bullying because what? We will be compassionate in listening and speaking in action because what? We will meet 50-50 on the playing field of life, living, and choices because what? Until we're willing to actively get involved and make a difference in our community, until we're willing to say that it's my neighborhood, it's my neighborhood, it's my neighborhood, then you must ask yourself, now what are you going to do? What are you going to do if it's your neighborhood? And that's the end of my presentation.
Well, Mr. Ulrich, I'm sorry you have to follow that. But, you know, just a couple things that MeShorn said. We're already united. It's true. We are already united. I actually believe that the answers are already there. And it is a priority for people. We just need to man up and team up. Now, there's no conversation about violence you can have without the topic of suicide, just like you can't have it without dating violence. Suicide takes more lives of youth and everybody than homicide. It reminds me of a saying that the damage we do to ourselves is far greater than what anybody else can do. And we just happen to have one of the experts on it right here, his name is Mr. Ulrich. Did I say that right? And I'm going to introduce him now because this is a subject that must be in everybody's conversation about violence. So please, Mr. Ulrich, and he'll give you his background and his information on, I believe your wife is also a suicide prevention advocate, isn't she?
She is the suicide prevention coordinator for the state of Kentucky.
Wow.
I've got a PowerPoint if you don't mind.
I don't mind at all.